The ELT English language teaching materials must to focus in the way that the students acquire best the knowledge of a foreign language like English. The ELT materials should have a deep comprehension about the different characteristics that can improve the English language knowledge. That's why the English teacher must do a research about the language as part of the pedagogical study. Those are, as Tomlinson points, theories of language acquisition and development principles of teaching. Our current knowledge of how the target language is actually used and the results of systematic observation and evaluation of materials in use. The ELT materials are bound to have clear objectives about what we as teachers want to teach, how the ELT can improve the motivation and the attention in class of the students and objects that can be used in practice, taking in mind all the things viewed in theory. The good implementation of the ELT materials depends on the knowledge that teachers have about the target environment. Tomlinson exposes to us 6 principal approaches to the development of the ELT materials. Those proposal approaches search the better way in which the teachers can create materials for the well improvement of the English as a foreign language in students. The first principle of language acquisition is about the disposition of learners to acquire knowledge about target language learning. It's just like a prerequisite to the application of the ELT materials. Those prerequisites can be enumerated. The first one is that the ELT materials should include spoken and written texts that can introduce the topic. The second is the motivation of the students and the main idea of the language as tool of communication as its main objective. The third is the contextualization of language. And the last one is the examples that students have about the importance of materials in language learning. The second principle focuses in the exposition that learners have about in the foreign language and how the cognitive and affective skills have importance. This one also has principles of materials development. The first one is take an affective point to develop an activity to create engagement. The second one is the listening and speaking activities that learners can take personal like an everyday problem in school life. And the last one is activities that make the students think and feel about it. The third principle is the affection that learners receive and how it can be affect the learning process. The positive reinforcement make miracles in the motivation and the speed of learning in students. That's why to supply these principles, the materials should have an enjoyable content, active challenge, and interact with the students in the emotive way, making that they enjoy their knowledge acquirement process. The fourth principle is how the materials used for the first language can be used in the learning of the foreign language. The way in which we acquire our native language is the same in all the languages in the world and history. Listening and speaking, and those skills go to reading and writing. The activities in this principle must to focus on the language itself. The mental activities in which students visualize their own language are mainly in this speech. The fifth principle focuses in the analysis of the input characteristics. The materials that have as main objective the attention that students pay in language acquirement are important to develop the skill in learners. Also, the text and the didactic activities like drawing can teach about the importance of the input engagement. The sixth and last principle is the opportunities that students have to communicate in the target language. I mean, to put in practice the last skills acquired before. The communicative exercises, the talks like a forum and interaction with natives are some examples of what these materials should have to support this practice principle.